Hey guys, Claire here. In today's video, we're going to talk about all things Harry and Meghan. Now, Suits is still topping the streaming charts on Netflix and Peacock, and according to Nielsen, Suits has become the second most streamed series ever, surpassing the hit show Wednesday. And I know that when Wednesday came out, it was everywhere for weeks and weeks. So it's just interesting to see Suits, a show that stopped running 4 years ago, is being so popular on Netflix. And I'm seeing so much conversations on different social media platforms such as Instagram. I'm seeing it on Tumblr, I've seen it on Twitter, and especially on TikTok of so many people like being introduced to Suits and so many people falling in love with it all over again. And also, there's been a lot of people who had no idea that Meghan, Duchess Meghan Markle, is Rachel Zane from Suits. So it's just really interesting to see people discover that. That's weird to me. But hey, new fans, so that's always a good thing. Now, there was also an article by Vanity Fair talking about Meghan's beautiful wedding dress. And in this article, the dress designer, Claire Keller, who is a friend of Meghan's, answers some questions concerning, how Meghan's dress came about and different things of that nature. And one of the things that she shared is that Meghan did, in fact, pay for her own wedding dress. Now, for the Sussex stands and Harry and Meghan stands, we already know this. But this just, again, is like one in a million other examples of the way the British media and the British tabloids spin narratives that are false. How many stories and articles have we read over the years making it seem like Meghan didn't pay for her dress, that it was Charles who paid for her wardrobe, Charles did this and Charles did that, when he didn't. She paid for it, not even Harry, out of her own pocket. Now, I am still not over how beautiful Meghan looked and those warm and sweet moments of every time Prince Harry looked at her on their wedding day. It's still so cute to see. Now, by now, we all know that Prince Harry will be in the UK for the Well Child Awards. I mean, he always attends it every year. Of course, last year, while he was in the UK about to attend, the Queen passed, and he was unable to make that award ceremony. But this year, he'll be back. Meghan's not going to be with him. And of course, the UK media has already started with their million and one hot takes of hot garbage concerning, oh, well, is Meghan coming? Oh, she's not coming? Oh, they should bring the kids. Oh, where's Harry gonna stay? Oh, are they gonna have a reconciliation summit? And it's just the same old tired narratives that are spun every single time Harry is in the UK. Charles makes excuses for why he's busy. William is just unwilling to see Harry because he's so angry or he's so hurt by Harry betraying him. And not one of those times that Harry went to the UK did we ever really hear him ask to see them. And we know that if he had called his father or his brother to try to talk to them, they would have leaked that information, that call, that text exchange. Like, they would have fallen on their faces running so quickly to go and leak it to the press. So Harry's never made any requests to see them or to stay in Frogmore or anything of that nature. But they continue to run these stories. Every time we see Harry, he attends to whatever business he's there for, whether it's court, whether it's some sort of charity event. He does his thing, and then he goes back home to his wife and kids. Now, this time around, Harry's going to be in the UK for the awards, and I believe a day or two extra. And then he'll be going to Germany. Now, Meghan's not going to be going to the UK. She will be going to Germany, and she'll be spending a significant chunk of time there until the Invictus Games is over. Now, I'm not surprised because she is involved, I believe, in a closing ceremony. So that's not surprising. There are some people hoping and wishing that they will bring Archie and Lily. I don't know if I think that they will. I think they're just really being protective of the babies and having them just live a very normal life where they're not bombarded by cameramen and like crazy crowds. And I completely support that. Would it be nice to see them? Yes. But it's also nice to know that they're doing what they feel is best for their babies. Now, this week, Broadway legend Audra McDonald did an interview, was it for Vanity Fair, where she talked about Meghan being one of those people that she really looks up to. And her words about the way Meghan goes through life with so much grace and dignity in the face of all the vitriol that's been thrown at her really mirrors the way that I think about Meghan as well. Like, I don't even know how I would be able to handle the things that Meghan has to go through, but she does it with a smile and with her head held high, and I really admire that about her. Now we're getting closer and closer to the Invictus Games, but before that, we're getting even closer to the premiere of Heart of Invictus. If you have Netflix, it's coming out on August 30th. I've already put in like my little reminder thingy that Netflix has. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the Invictus Games. And this year, there's going to be 21 nations participating. And from just staying abreast about the Invictus Games situation, it's nice to see all of the big name sponsors that are getting involved in the Invictus Games. It's been really nice to see how much it continues to grow now that Harry has the time to just really focus on making it the best it can be. It's wonderful to see. Also wonderful to see the people or the teams from these 21 nations just showing photos and videos of them preparing for this year's games in Germany. Love it. Now this week there's also been talk of Prince Andrew possibly getting his taxpayer-funded security reinstated. Am I surprised? No. Do I really think that Charles is paying for his security? To be honest, I don't. I don't at all. I think that they've been using money from the sovereign grant. I mean, I genuinely don't think that he's taking money out of his purse to pay for Andrew's security. I think they've been shuffling and doing different things to make sure that that is paid for. So, like, I don't know. But it has been interesting to see some of the royal reporters, not all, some of them have been kind of quiet about it, but there are some that are bending over backwards to make excuses as to why Andrew should be entitled to this taxpayer-funded security. And it's just kind of interesting to me because the points that they use to make the argument that Andrew is entitled to taxpayer security just really highlights how unscrupulous and cruel Charles was to remove it from Harry. Harry is an even bigger target than Andrew. He's a bigger target than a vast majority of these senior working royals. Harry leaves the house and the whole world tunes in. He has legit had Al-Qaeda, or is it the Taliban, make threats on his life. There have been people who have been arrested for making threats on his life. There are people who have been arrested saying that his son is an abomination. Then you have like not one, but two different cases of police officers from the Met having the most disgustingly racist conversations and just exchanges about Harry and Meghan. There is a huge target on Harry and Meghan's back, right? And that remains whether he's a working royal or not. He is the son of the king. He is the brother of the future king. He is Princess Diana's son, right? Prince Harry, recognized worldwide. And Charles took that security away and did a damn thing when their location was leaked. But now you have royal reporters saying, Well, Andrew is the brother of the king, and whether he's working or not, his risk remains the same. So if those are considerations to reinstate Andrew's security, how are they not considerations to reinstate Harry's? And Harry wasn't even asking for them to pay for his security. So I'll say it once again, Harry's family, trash. His dad, his brother, trash.
Why do you think then he has a case for this security being reinstated?
Well, I think it's a very unpopular argument I'm going to try and make, but he's a member of the royal family. He didn't choose to be a royal. He was born into that. He's the brother of the serving King of England, and unfortunately, with that comes a tremendous security risk from kidnappers, anyone out there that might want to do him harm. And I think, much as we might be almost revolted by Prince Andrew, sorry. I think that even if we are revolted by him, you can't just leave a senior member of the royal family to fend for themselves.
But couldn't the cost be borne by the royal family, by him himself? Why do you think there's a case here for the taxpayer footing the £3 million bill? There's
the rub, isn't it? I mean, people are not going to want to be paying their taxes towards that. But the royal family are they're an institution, they're a public institution, and Prince Andrew, whether we like it or not, is still a part of it.
He's still a threat, Ava, isn't he?
Well, I mean, is he a threat because he was born into the royal family, or is he a threat because, or a target because of the company that he chose to keep? I mean, we're all still intensely fascinated by that ridiculous interview he gave to the BBC in 2019. Yeah, he's absolutely disgraced. And, at the moment, his security is paid for by King Charles. I don't see why that cost should go across to the taxpayer or go across to the Met Police. I mean, if you think about the kind of service that most people can now expect from the Metropolitan Police in London, there's one woman is killed every 3 days. If I can't get protection, why should the disgraced Prince Andrew?
He disgraced, yes, but not convicted of any crime at this point.
But also not working, right? He's not a working royal, and he's, arguably the big reason why we have the royal family is because it brings in a lot of tourism. That's the argument that's always put down. Over the past couple of years, this has been intensely embarrassing for the country. If you look at what went on in the States, I mean, over in America, our biggest influx of tourists come from there, and there was headline news for the best part of 6 months. What has that done to our economy and our tourism?
Duncan, the royal family has got a real, if you look at the broader brand of the royal family, to modernise, try and connect with the British public since the passing of Her Majesty, late Majesty the Queen. I mean, this wouldn't be a good look, would it? If you've got a prince who's not working, and the decision has been made, for him not to work, so there must be some reason for that. He is disgraced, with the companies kept at the very least. It's not a good look, is it? If we're trying to modernise the royal family and saying, well, actually, we're going to pay for this guy's security.
Yes, I mean, I'm not a huge advocate of the taxpayer having to foot the bill, but you've got to remember, I mean, in 1974, there was a very real attempt to kidnap Princess Anne, and we know what happened to Lord Mountbatten in Northern Ireland. The royal family are, unfortunately, in the crosshairs of people.
I think William employs yes men primarily to ensure that his pride never gets hurt, and that he and his immediate family, Kate and the kids, are living their best lives.
So I wasn't able to stitch that video. However, I did want to add that before Harry and Meghan became the scapegoats, the Rota was clocking this about William's team back in 2015, 2016. Like I said in my previous video, 2016 was truly a god-awful year for William and Kate. The Rota was eating them alive. Katie Nicholl wrote this piece for the Mail on Sunday and basically blamed their PR blunders on their incredibly young staff. She writes, and some are pinning the blame on a new young generation of courtiers and advisors thought to be incapable of saying no to the headstrong 33-year-old. William, it is said, is rarely wrong. Earlier in 2016, Emily Andrews from The Sun basically wrote the same thing, with one person saying, William's changed since he's had kids. He's much more forceful and less easygoing. I've heard he can be quite petulant and demanding with his staff. Back to the Katie Nicholl article for the Mail on Sunday, she writes, royal insiders say the turning point in William's fortunes came when the Cambridges and Prince Harry set up their new office at Kensington Palace 2 years ago. The move coincided with the departure of his former private secretary, Jamie Lowther Pinkerton, or JLP for short. JLP is older, he's 55, he is actually one of Prince George's godfathers, and this article says, crucially, it is felt he was willing to stand up to the younger man. Today, William's private secretary and team of aides are all, like him, in their 30s. One friend of the royal family says there is a feeling that perhaps there isn't someone in William's court who will put their foot down and say no if they think William is making the wrong decision. This article basically states that William felt that he didn't need a sort of right-hand mentor or someone to counsel him, that he thought he knew what he was doing. The article goes on to say that he has a good team around him, but they're all only there to listen to him, not stand up and offer differentiating opinions. This part of the article talks about the hiring of Jason Knopf and others. It says that William was involved in the interviewing process, and there were others when interviewed who brought big ideas to the table, but William wanted to do things his way, and Knopf, perhaps wisely, was willing to oblige. The article then goes on to quote Ingrid Seward, who said, William's aides are very young and very good, but the problem is William has never really taken advice and has a tendency to think that he is always right. But like Amanda said, William learned this from watching Charles. Charles was the Prince of Wales for like 50 freaking years. And we'll talk a little bit more about how Charles and Andrew teamed up to force the Queen to fire her private secretary and replace him with a man who was more loyal to Charles and Andrew than he was to the monarchy or really the Queen.
Called Raymond from North Yorkshire. Do you think that Prince William should be there?
Absolutely. He's the president. He's got to be there. But it's just like his dad. He's a disgrace to this family. I used to be a royalist, but not anymore.
It's not very,
I think they're a disgrace.
It's not very fair to expect somebody to have an interest in every tournament going. I mean, Prince William supports the England men's team, yes, absolutely, and he supports football in general, but should he really be expected to know what's going on in the women's team if that's not his specific team that he supports?
In the Invictus Games, I didn't have to ask Harry twice. He was their lead man, and he was there, and so should Harry.
And so should William. Well, what about the fact that William's on holiday and he has a family to look after? He has a responsibility to his partner. He has a responsibility to his children to spend some time with them.
On holiday?
On holiday, yeah. He's entitled to a holiday, is he not?
Doesn't work, man. On holiday? Get off.
I feel like Raymond, you are sort of along the lines of Nina's thought pattern here, in the fact that perhaps neither William or other members of the royal family work hard enough. Well, if Catherine turned up, would that be acceptable?
You should earn your holidays, and they don't earn the holidays. No, Harry's the only person that, William's the only person that should be there. He is the president. It's his duty to be there.
So he needs to be there as the president of the FA.
Technically, she's also the first lady of the FA. He's the president. I mean...
Yeah, I know, but that's not the same job.
The thing is, Raymond, I agree with you. It's like, if you don't want to do the work, don't take the job. So don't be the president.
It's very hard not to take a job when you're born into it.
Yeah. I don't mean the job of being Prince William. I mean president of the FA. If you say, I'm not going to go to the finals. I mean, this is... as I say, I don't care anything about football, but 1966 was the last time that anybody was in a World Cup final. And if not now, then when? When, Raymond?
Raymond,
The reception at the Royal Palace, if I was the girls, I wouldn't attend. I'd snub them. So you couldn't come to see us, so why should we come to see you?
That'll be interesting to see whether they do. I mean, I'm sure they're not even remotely concerned as to whether Prince William is there or not. Their head will be definitely in the game and focused on that and that alone. But Raymond, thank you very much for your call. Mary from Somerset, what's your thoughts? Does William really have to be there?
Well, I think it would be his duty to be there. But from history, I think when he's been there, he's been very unpopular in Australia. And I know he's not at all popular. Whereas if it had been his brother and his wife, it would have been super. But
well, that's again straying on to a completely different conversation, Mary. And Harry, Harry does his own things. He's got the Invictus Games and his own sporting Well, just charity, I suppose.
Is that William and Kate are not popular in Australia.
I don't think.
And I think that is why he does not go.
Interesting that you say that, Mary, because there is a bit of contention there in Australia with the royal family, but is it as negative as we think it is, or are there a lot more royalists in Australia than perhaps we see?
Even if they aren't, I mean, this is a good thing. This will go away in mending those sour relations, if they're as sour as Mary is claiming. But they can't do any harm.
The royalists are a dying breed, because it's a hangover from when so many British people emigrated to Australia, and that kind of generation is dying off now.
But as Esther says, this would be a great opportunity, surely, for William to actually boost his popularity over there.
You would imagine so. But they're tone deaf. I mean, you only have to compare William and Kate's visit to the Caribbean last year, which was completely tone deaf.
Maybe why he's put off going so far into areas where the royal family may not be as popular. Sean from Durham, do you think it's maybe a right decision for...
I'll tell you what it is. This is an absolute insult, right? Them lasses are going to be playing out of that skin, right? And you've got nobody representing this country.
Who you, James Cleverly?
What's going on, like?
What's going on, like? Sean, you get James Cleverly.
James Cleverly?
Yes.
Is he going?
Yes. But perhaps you think...
At the end of the day, it's a one-off, right?
Yeah.
The Blokes had their chance in 1966, right? Fair enough, they won it because it was at Wembley. This is in Australia. The Spanish royal family is going.
The Queen, yes.
What is going on with this country?
So,
this
Sean,
country is absolutely pathetic. Do you know that?
Here's a question. Oh, well, I mean, we're talking about one issue here, and yes, there is a few issues. I mean, we dedicate shows to them, but there's some positives too. Sean, do you think that if this was the men's game, that William would rock up?
No problem whatsoever. He'd have been there like a shot. But at the end of the day, what the hell's the point in having a royal family pet?
Do you know,
my point exactly.
I can't help but feel like if it was the men's, William would show up, and that's...
I still think he's going to go, personally. I don't have a crystal ball, but I suspect that he will, just because it's not worth the backlash. And yeah, you have a point. This is a one-off thing. This is probably the best generation of female footballer players that we've had.
Yeah.
I don't think he would live this down. So I think this is, ultimately will be much ado about nothing.
I don't think it will matter one jot really to the England players at the moment. I think they will have their heads down and they will be focused on the match, and my fingers are crossed for them. I hope at the very least Prince William will be watching on TV. Thank you, Sean.
Why does New Zealand media repost articles like this? This is a bullying article. Make no mistake, look at the headline. Written by someone from The Telegraph who clearly doesn't like Meghan Markle. Regardless of your feelings on her, does she deserve to be consistently ridiculed and bullied in the media? No, she does not. We talk about mental health, we teach our kids not to bully, and yet where are they learning it from? They're learning it from the media. Because mocking someone who you don't know for her anti-stress patch, when she is globally ridiculed consistently, and then saying, oh, what have you got to worry about? What do you think she's got to worry about? What a disgraceful article that is really disappointing to see New Zealand media repost. There is catastrophic events going on around the world. Let's be an asshole?
Buckingham Palace PR, this is Ashley. William, you went online. No, I keep telling you not to do that, but I guess this has become the typical state of affairs over here. People are not very pleased with you. Yeah. Your vacation's going well? Love that. Yeah, it is so important to take time for yourself, right? Away from all of the castles and whatnot. Yeah, no, PTO is so critical. Absolutely. Yeah, super glad that you got to take that. It's just, you would have done the same thing had the men reached the final. Yeah. I guess we don't know, right? Hasn't happened for a hot minute. Who knows if it ever will? But the thing is, it's a little bit difficult as it is to justify your job, your calling. Absolutely, yeah, that's a word. That is a word. So yeah, well, a lot of people are like, well, it's ceremonial, so he shows up to represent the country in ceremonies. Like a World Cup final. Yeah, some people are saying that, William. It's for your mental health. Totally. So that's the angle that we're using. Mental health. Love that.
Meghan Markle files for divorce from Prince Harry. Some people said they saw this coming, but I sure did not.
It is hard to find words for idiocy. And even more, it has to hurt to be this dumb. I don't know how many times I'm going to be tagged in a video like this. This is monthly. I'm not going to speak directly about the creator of this video right now. I'm going to speak to you all, my followers. We have had a conversation about this many of times. And what have I said? What have I said? Divorce filings are public record. And to the creator of this video that I stitched, girl, Egypt Independent, did you bother reading the article? Apparently not, because the article from Newsweek that they are referencing was back in June. Even then, on the bottom right here, it states, and I quote, Newsweek, however, clarified that the claim is no more credible than similar rumors. And for those of my US followers that were, again, asking me if it were true, and I mentioned this before, and I love you guys, I say this with love, I really want you to understand that. But we know in the United States that court filings are public record. And I'm gonna assume this creator, who sounds American, may not know that. I think I'm done for the day. I think I'm done for the week. Y'all have a good weekend.
Mr. Fawcett subsequently stepped down and the matter was referred to police by the pressure group Republic.
If this was a politician, this would be all over the news and people would be asking very serious and searching questions.
Is your accusation that the police didn't do their job properly because of who was involved?
Not even speaking to Charles is appalling. I mean, that is a dereliction of duty. I mean, they seem very quick to arrest those who protest against royal corruption and very slow to deal with those who are accused of it.
In case you didn't know, Spain has a royal family and they just ran laps around the British royal family at the Women's World Cup final. In case you live under a rock, Spain beat England in the Women's World Cup final today. And Prince William, the president of the English Football Association, is skipping a World Cup final that England is competing in. Amongst many reasons why this is a big deal is the fact that England has not won a World Cup since 1966. You can see a young Queen Elizabeth. She showed up to that final, but we couldn't get Prince William or the King. I mean, come on. This is supposed to be their country's sport. Like, this would have been the biggest win England has had since World War II. But enough about those Brits. This video is about Queen Latisha and Princess Sophia, who absolutely showed them up and showed them how it's done. First off, Queen Latisha was a graceful winner. She stood there and she shook the hand of every single member of England's team after their defeat. And then when Mary Earps got the Golden Glove, she stood there and cheered her on and was like, yes, you get that Golden Glove. Anytime my girlfriend does something and I'm like, okay, pop off, Queen. This is the Queen I'm referring to, not any other Queen. And there's just something about Princess Sophia. I don't know what it is, but it's relatable. I don't really know how to explain it. You're just like, oh, she gets it. You can tell she just gets it. So shout out to the Princess and the Queen for showing everyone how royalty is supposed to act, and they absolutely deserved at the end to be invited into the team's dance circle and let them just do their thing.
Duty? At Notcott, when my pregnant wife was planning to take her life. And now, we left the hospital with our unborn child, a tiny package. We went to a secret place only we knew. Under a spreading banyan tree, while Meg wept, I dug a hole with my hands and set the tiny package softly in the ground. It is okay to tell people that you had a miscarriage and it's not your fault. I believe it's 1 in 4 women have had a miscarriage in their life. I could be wrong with that number. I've had one. I had one so bad that I wouldn't stop bleeding. And it ended up having to take out my uterus so that I could never have children. And it's been something that I've had to accept, and I've blamed myself for years. Thank you, Prince Harry and Meg, for writing about the fact that you had a miscarriage, because there are going to be so many people that read that and know that it's okay to talk. And that was my black cat. Black cats for good luck.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, hit that notification bell.